1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's up, people? It is Monday.
Welcome back.
Isn't that a song?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we've touched on that before, though. I'll start singing it and you make a face and it's a whole thing.
Oh, maybe you're... I don't know.
What are we talking about today, man?
For all this week.
Today we're talking about buyer's series, buyer's agreements.
Well, the whole week we're going to talk about how to negotiate
X.
each part of the real estate. So we talked about all this stuff before, but this week we're going to talk about how you negotiate it. So from the buyer side, from the seller side, how do you actually get in and negotiate it? Right. So first today we're going to talk about just the buyer agency agreement and the listing agreement, which is not something I think agents typically want to talk about because it basically affects how we get paid.
Exactly. Right? It's what they are is the agreement between the buyer and their agent, or the seller and their respective agent.
That is correct.
So there's a couple things in there that are up for grabs, let's say. We can talk about that.
So let's start with the buyer agency agreement because that's the easiest one. There's not really much to negotiate. So
it's very straightforward. Right. It's a contract between you as the buyer and your agent, really allowing that brokerage to have this agent represent you. Like Quincy said, there's not a ton in there that's worth or even able to be negotiated, really.
That's true.
It talks about the length of the agreement, which most people usually put for a year.
That's what we automatically
because you're out there looking. You have 45 days for escrow. You might be looking for 3 months. So we just overextend the agreement, but you can negotiate that shorter if you want. There really isn't a reason to.
It just has to be enough time to reasonably look for a house, buy a house, and go to the contract.
Really, I guess the only thing that involves money for the buyer, because in Maryland, as a buyer, you don't pay your agent any commission. The seller takes care of that. 99%.
Right. Yeah.
It can be, but you shouldn't worry about that. It would be disclosed if you have to pay it.
Right.
There's an admin fee, which your agent is not charging. It's the broker that the agent works for is charging a flat fee. It's with Cummings, it's $495. If you buy $1 million home or $1,000 home,
it's the same thing.
It's $495. It doesn't go to your agent. It goes to the broker. It pays for the brick and mortar. We're in an office now.
Right. Yeah.
So that price is negotiable.
I mean, in a sense, right? I mean, you can.
Someone's paying it.
So, someone's going to pay it either way. So either you're going to pay it, the agent's going to pay it. Some people don't like to pay it. I would just say, talk it over with your agent.
Talk it over with your agent. And one thing that we talked about VA loans before, if you're a VA buyer, you're legally not allowed to pay that. So your agent or the seller would pay it. I think that's really...
From the buyer side, that's it.
There's not a lot. The seller side has a lot more.
Yeah, so on the listing side, when you have a listing agreement and you're sitting down with your agent, there is definitely a lot more to negotiate. So first thing is the price, and I don't think people view that as a negotiable point, but it is, right? So typically we sit down, or at least when I sit down, the seller has a price and your listing agent has a price in mind. Right. Now, ideally, based on data, and the seller has seen the data that I have, because I've sent it to them. Right. Ideally, we're on the same page or close to the same page.
Even before the meeting.
Correct. Yeah. Sometimes we're not, right? So there is some negotiation there, right? I mean, look, sometimes sellers think houses are just worth more. There's some emotional investment there. Some agents want to push the price down because it's always easier to sell a house for less, right? So there is some negotiation there, right? So you want to negotiate the price. And you want to pick a price that's obviously correct, proper, in line with the comps. Yeah. Not too high that your house is not going to sell. Not too low that you obviously missed out on money.
That's a good point. Market value versus subjective, but I love the house.
Subjective emotional opinion.
Right. Market value will always trump your opinion of the house, and sometimes that's a sticking point between agents and sellers. The length of time, again, a listing agreement is going to be 3 months, it's going to be 6 months, it's going to be a year. You want to negotiate that, So, obviously, I think I put in 6 months for my listing agreements. You want to give time for the listing to get on the market, do its thing, be aware of the current trends of the market, or how homes selling fast, slow. But that portion is negotiable. And the last thing is the commission, obviously. It is open, it is negotiable in every sense of the way. It says in there that commission, the percentage is not set by law.
It's not. You can agree to whatever it is that you guys come to terms with. I will say this. Understand two things about commission.
it is split, right? In some way, shape, or form between a listing agent and a buyer's agent. And then you typically, with commission, you're going to get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So, if you pay a super low commission, that's great. Your net's going to come out the same. But you might be getting iPhone photos that are upside down, bad marketing, a lot of stuff. So you just typically get what you pay for.
Right.
So keep that in mind. Some people are okay with it. Sometimes your house is so amazing, it doesn't matter. You can put a cardboard sign in your front yard and it's going to sell. Yeah. And that's awesome. But most of the time, for most people, it's not. You need a little help. You need to navigate through all the market. So yes, it is negotiable, and that's great. And you probably should try to get as much money because it's your house. But you will, like most things, get what you pay for.
Yeah. I mean, so we don't, we can wrap this up because I know we're running a little longer, but we don't tier what we give our clients based on the commission.
That's correct. Right.
Some agents do. So some agents will give you, look, if you pay 3% to the listing agent, you'll get professional photos and staging and all. And as it goes down, they tell you like you get less and less. That you just have to decide whether or not that's the person that you feel comfortable with trusting your biggest asset to. Someone who's 100% motivated by the money, which is, I think, something we don't talk about as agents.
So that's it.
Cool.
See you tomorrow.
Yep.